In this video, I'm going to show you how I created a beautiful heart card using my homemade papers I created on the gel plate. Let's get started. So the first thing I did was 3 different colors on my gel plate, which was a turquoise, a beigey cream color, and a red. If you want the exact colors, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to share. Then what I did was I placed my heart that I created on the plate because I wanted to make sure that the back side of my card was just as beautiful as the front. And when I pull it up, it's so pretty. It's got this cloud-like appearance. It's sort of ethereal. Once that is dry, please make sure it's dry, then you can go on to the next step. I will use what you see on the gel plate later with something else, not this project, but just letting you know, don't throw it away. It is totally usable later, even if it dries. So now I have a little rectangle I created using some old cardboard. And I have a painting that I did with oil pastels on the front of a rice paper, and I created a morning glory. This is going to be my pocket. Now, there's a little disclaimer, really important. Make sure that your cardboard is thick. Do not use hot glue on oil pastels because they'll melt. I learned that the hard way. And I had just thin paper and I put some glue on the back and it just melted because of the heat. So don't do that. So when you adhere it, I'm going to show you here like a little slower. When you adhere it, make sure you only do 3 sides because this is going to become your pocket. Okay? So 1 bead down and then another bead over on the other side, and try to bring it in a little bit, so about 1/4 of an inch, so the glue doesn't skew like all out onto your heart. You don't want to be able to see the hot glue. And if you press down and it's too close to the edges, you're going to get glue sort of seeping out. So this is going to create a really nice pocket. Now, I have a box of treasures. I call them treasures. I create all sorts of art. By trade, I am a flower artist and a plant science teacher. But I love to create all sorts of embellishments. Sometimes I put them on my designs. I do wedding work. I have my own business as well. So yeah, I'm a busy lady. Anyway, this is my box of treasures. I've got dice in here. I've got homemade little trinkets, some eyes, some strange eyes. But anyway, what I'm looking for right now is a treasure to put inside of that pocket I just created. So I am searching through for the perfect thing. My brain is going towards a wing, and you'll see why at the end of the video, why I decided a wing probably would be the best bet. I was thinking maybe a heart because it's a heart card as well. But if you're curious what these are all my polymer clay created items. And I have a lot of videos on these on my other channel, and I think that it shows like a nice different array of how to do those. So with that being said, I'm just trying to, look and discover what makes sense. So I pulled out a bunch that were contenders, if you will, and I'm trying to figure out which one makes the most sense. And I have a key I made. So those silver ones you see there, I actually used skeleton keys to create. How fun is that? And but no, I think the winner is going to be the butterfly. What you see here is I thought about the heart as well, but I was like, no, it needs one really neat treasure, and it's going to be this little wing. I decided it was a fairy wing, not a butterfly wing, by the way, at the end. So imagine if you gave this card and it had a sweet little note and somebody opened it up and there's this butterfly and then inside there's a little fairy wing. So what I'm doing now is I'm adhering one of my collaged butterflies that I made, yes, using mixed media, and I'm just adhering it because I think how pretty would this be to complement? It's got the same type of tones that are in the background of my morning glory. It's got some blues and that little bit of yellow to make it pop. So the front of the card and the inside of the card are just as beautiful. I did seal them, just so you know. It is sealed with a matte media. I think it was Liquitex that I used. And I actually love gloss, but I used a matte medium. I use it sort of like a glue, if you will. And so that being said, I just think it's so pretty. Look at this. So when somebody opens your card, you have to give them a message. Now, I think the main thing is, make it special, make it fun, make it whimsical, whatever it is that you write, you know what, just enjoy the process. So a fairy wing. I decided, let's see, a fairy wing, should I have a little bit more? Is magical. And so imagine if you gave this to a friend and now they've got this little wing. Of course, on the back of your fairy wing, you could add a little pin and it could become something that they could wear. You could even take and add a little necklace, like put a hook on it and make it into a little necklace or magnet for your refrigerator, a clip to put on a book while you're reading. So many things you could do with it. But imagine it's just a little gift. It's just something to say, I'm thinking about you. Oh boy. So I decided to put it in horizontal and that didn't work. So I did it vertical, which is totally fine. The fairy wing will fit in. It'll tuck in nicely. And then I added, which I think is like really nice to do because then the people aren't trying to pull it out, is I'm going to add this really soft little iridescent ribbon at the end. I thought how neat it would be, though, to have the word look. And so people would be like, oh, there's more. There's something else inside, like a little treasure. So, I also thought it would be really cool if you could create these into like a book, like an I Spy type book. Remember those when my kids were young? Oh my goodness, they loved I Spy. So fun. So imagine if your hearts that you created, you put them all together with a binding. I have another video where I create a book cover out of a heart, and it could actually be turned into a card or a book, and you flip through and you've got all these really neat like I Spy things. So that may be in the works, but we'll see what happens. So a little bit about me. People have asked. So I started in the flower design industry when I was 14. That was my first job. I went to an agriculture high school, and you had to have what was called a SAE, Supervised Agriculture Experience. And so I got a job at a flower shop. They had a greenhouse, and oh my goodness, I loved the designing. I loved the art side of it. So what happened was eventually, it was a long journey. Maybe I'll tell more of it in another video. I went to college eventually and became certified in plant science, and then actually certified in flower design for the college level. And I am a certified Connecticut teacher, and pre-K through college I can teach. And the pre-K through 12 part is agriculture education, but I focus primarily in the plant science and the floral design. And with the flower design piece, there's all sorts of art principles that are very similar to regular art. And so when I design, when I make my creations, I like to not just make a creation, I like to make something with a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of personal touches to it. So if I create, say, a bouquet for somebody, I do a pretty card. And there you have it, this beautiful card that you can give somebody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.